Hello, my beautiful Aries friends, and welcome to your horoscope for 2023, where we are going to take a look at what's going on in the cosmic landscape. And keep in mind, Aries, I just got to throw this out right at the beginning. I was reading the Tao of Pooh, and there's this line that I just feel like I want to give to Aries as we begin our travel through the beginning of 2023, but just something to keep in mind. But the line says, be the water, go around the rocks. And I think that could not be more applicable, Aries, as we're not only starting the year and as we're traveling, because there is so much on the table for you this year, Aries, that is really about who are you? And not that you're necessarily at the beginnings of figuring that out. Some things I believe came into your life 2021 and 2022, and they just weren't ready yet. They were starting to cook a little, but they weren't exactly ready yet. So you kind of got an idea of this new identity you were going to be working with. And now it is going to be time in 2023 to watch that new identity express itself and actualize. So it's not that you're at the beginning of learning it, it's that you're watching yourself move with it now, which is a little bit of a different experience. But I want to tell you, be the water, go around the rocks, Aries. Okay. So as we're coming into 2023, right here at the beginning of the year, first of all, we're coming in with not only Mercury in retrograde, but also Mars, your ruling planet, is going to be retrograde. And we're not even going to see Mars really through this Gemini vibration until we get to March. But as we cross the threshold into 2023, and you're thinking about your plans for the year, or you're crossing 2023 with your new year, new me attitude, I want to remind you that we're not moving quickly. You are simply going to have to be the water and go around the rocks. Now, where that forward motion is not forward, it's really great for moving backwards. So let's break that down for just a minute. Now, Mercury, our planet of the mind, our messenger energy, is retrograde in the energy of Capricorn, and it went retrograde December 29th of 2022. And this has landed in your 10th house space. Now, first and foremost, we're going to see Mercury in this retrograde energy until January 18th, okay? So one of the things I want you to consider is think back to the beginning of 2022, where we came in and we had all of this signature going on in Capricorn in your 10th house. So around work, around career, government, your soul level calling, titles you had in the world, what you get up and you get out of bed and you go offer in public, because in the 10th house, we are offering it out to the world in public in some way. So as we're here in this retrograde and you think back to the stamp of energy in January of 2022, where are you going back to a plan? Did you decide at that time, were you really struggling in a relationship in the beginning of 2022, or you were kind of unsure about a relationship with work? Maybe about, even for some of you, the title is, am I married? Am I not married, right? Were you struggling in your title in any way, shape, or form? And now, as this Mercury is retrograde traveling through here, it's got your attention, it's got your mind. Are you going back to work in some way? Are you going back to some training so that you can expand what you do in the world in some way? Now, when I say work to you, I really, Aries, want you to think very broadly about that, because yes, it could be, you're working from home, you're working in the office, you travel for work, but genuinely, it can also just be, what do you offer out to the world and what's the title we know you as in public? So look back over that energy as this Mercury is retrograde, and it's giving you an opportunity to reconnect with, review, re-listen to, think really deeply about this area of your life and what you're doing to get it in order, right? That's what a retrograde is good for. It's like cleaning you up or taking you back to someplace you got stuck so that you're able to move it forward, okay? Now, interestingly enough, Mars, your ruler, is retrograde in Gemini that is ruled by Mercury. So I am telling you, from the doing to the thinking, we are slowed down as we are traveling here in January. Okay. Now, Mars has been here in Gemini, which lights up your third house space in the general. So communications, contracts, learning, teaching, siblings, writing, you're writing that book, you're writing that website, any of these kinds of things. Transportation, short distance travel can also be wrapped up in here. Now, one other thing I do like to throw into the third house for your review is buying and selling of goods, right? So are you buying or selling a house? If you're a realtor, I would really be looking at the third house or your Gemini Aries, okay? So as Mars has been retrograde here since October 30th of 2022, first of all, if there were agreements, contracts, negotiations you were trying to be a part of, you could have really felt like they were delayed, or there's just this misinformation, or I don't even want to call it misinformation. There is a lack of clarity about where this is going, and if you're in the world right now, you may notice that some of the housing situations, to include people moving all over the world, can feel like it's in a little bit of a fog. So it's very slowed down. Or maybe you needed to buy or purchase something and it's just felt like it was really, really slow. Okay. So that energy will absolutely continue as we're traveling here throughout January. And then when we get to January 12th, we're going to see Mars come out of retrograde. So then you can understand that you're going to start to build up a little bit more speed, a little bit more momentum, a little bit more inertia to make some decisions. Now, you can also use that Mars retrograde to be looking at who's been in my network. What am I taking action to learn? Who am I allowing to be in my network and teach me or speak to me, right? So these are also contracts and negotiations that we're dealing with as well. So I want you to just kind of keep that in mind, okay? Now, as we continue on through the year, we're going to hit March where we've got a lot going on. I want to say this about January as well, is that truly, your first house and who you are and your level of expansion and your ability to put yourself out in the world, and it's like step up to your next role, is kind of the message I keep getting for you, Aries, is going to be big because Jupiter is transiting through your first house. Okay, we've got Pluto doing these last moments of running through your 10th house of Capricorn as well. So there really is this energy where you've kind of been liberated. What was stuck or what was holding you back in terms of structure or energy or value really is removed, but getting into it, you might be moving quite slowly. So remember, with Jupiter, and Jupiter is going to speed through your first house this year. Okay, Aries, so you got a small taste of that Jupiter energy in 2022, but now it is just going to zip through there. So really getting yourself out into the world, expressing yourself, sharing yourself is going to be a huge part of your story, okay? Now, when we get to March, we're going to see Saturn changing sign. And when Saturn and Pluto change signs, these are a really big deal. But Saturn is going to change sign and move into the energy of Pisces over with this Neptunian energy as well. So all of this for you, beautiful Aries, is going to light up your 12th house space, okay? Now, this is the 12th house space is all of the things that are hidden or the things that move and go in between the worlds. Okay, so it's the world here, but it's also the realm of the spirit. It's as equally the things that we do that cause our own undoing. It is the place where we must share ourselves. We must share the things that we keep secret and surrender to the weight of that so that we're ordered to bring in the help that can support us. Now, some of the other things I do think of in that 12th house space are if you have addictions, diseases, immunity issues, things like that, that are illnesses or ailments that you cannot see until they present themselves. This could be a time where you're seeing these flare up a little bit as Saturn gets into that energy of Pisces. But the other thing I think of with Saturn moving here is because Saturn wants to create structure, and Pisces and Neptune are like water, right? They're like, it's like, you know, trying to, I don't know, it's trying to build something underwater. You know what I mean? I don't know if you've ever done that, where you're trying to put the pieces and you're like, yeah, I guess it's kind of coming together. And then other things are floating up to the top. You know, we've got this energy that is about making things concrete, gelling them together, bringing some restriction, bringing some elevation. You know, it's a really neat, big kind of energy. But here in the 12th house, I think the message that Saturn is sending for you, Aries, is that it is time to crystallize, make concrete your spirituality, right? Your healing life, your metaphysical life, your higher power, whatever you call that, it actually needs to become something that is not just a belief system for you, but it is something that you make real, that you don't have faith in something, that you have faith plus trust. I mean, it's this actual calling to us, I think, at this particular time for you to get your spiritual life absolutely together. Okay. So whether that means getting a healing plan, getting a meditation, taking time for self-enforced isolation so that you can, you can work on yourself, you can work on what you need to do. Now, the other thing I continue to think about is because in the 12th house, we walk between the worlds, okay? There's this sense of everything is everything in the great womb of Pisces, the past, the present, the future, it's all one. And we come into this space of acclamation where everything is everything. But ultimately, what we're trying to do is to learn the lessons, bring them all together, right? Accumulate, acclimate, and absorb everything that has been happening for you. So truly, I'm going to ask you, with Saturn traveling here in Pisces, and sometimes I know it can be really complicated when we're trying to reframe healing, but what are you healing here in your 12th house that it's like, this doesn't work for me anymore, I have to come to the next level? That resentment doesn't work for me anymore. This hiding my creativity doesn't work anymore. This behavior that I have where I'm sabotaging myself, or I just want to do everything by myself, is actually hurting me instead of letting me grow. Where is it time to leave the past in the past? Saturn is going to crystallize this. Now, keep in mind that Saturn, as it comes into any given sign, what is already working, it's going to beef it up and be like, yeah, Aries, you're kicking butt and taking names with this. Good job. And what is too weak for you to have a productive foundation to stand on? That's where we feel a little bit of the rougher pangs of Saturn moving through us, because it's elevating us. It's taking us to the next level, okay? So I'm telling you, whether it is resentment and sabotage behavior to yourself, it is illness, it is creative projects that you are working on, it is research that you are doing, Saturn is here to crystallize it and make it so that it is something so valuable for you that when you surrender to what was and embrace what can be next, Saturn takes it to that next beautiful achievement level. So a good year of working on that, but Neptune and Pisces, you're building you're building your sandcastle underwater. So it just might not be super clear, okay? All right, when we get to the 23rd, we have got Pluto changing sign. Now, when Pluto changes sign too, it's a big deal because it creates a global vibration of shift and change. So I have this line in my head for you, Aries, from the Desiderata, where it says, go placidly into the noise and the haste. And I am telling you, Aries, the world is going to get loud. It is going to get loud, okay? However, Pluto's movement into your 11th house of friends, social groupings, your tribe, organizations that you are aligned with, right? This area of your life you could really find changing as Pluto comes into this 11th house for you. Now, Pluto has spent a long time since like 2008 working in your 10th house. So who you thought you were, what you did for work, your ideas around the government, authority, career, ambition, status, all of these things, your reputation, all of these things have been in play. And in the world, we have watched, executives come and go. It has been a whole thing, right? So this area of life for you, you have been able to effectively use this Plutonian energy to burn off and to destroy what doesn't belong there for you anymore, what's no longer your ambition, right? You don't need it. As Pluto is getting into Aquarius, you see how this area of your life has essentially been, it's lifted a little bit, it's transformed, and you can move forward a little bit more free. Now, as we see this Plutonian energy in Aquarius, oh man, one of the things I just want to suggest to you is, first of all, take an honest look. With all of these, the identity changed, with your energy shifted, with your career direction or your ambition direction reset. The 11th house can also represent your long-range plans, goals, designs, and desires and aspirations for yourself. So what do you want? And who are the groups? Who are the tribes? Who are the organizations that have to burn out of your life? They have to die off because there's no growth and empowerment for you there anymore. And instead, the new groupings, this next tribe that can travel with you where you need to go to fulfill those dreams and aspirations is going to start to show up. Now, it is Plutonic energy. It is, so we can't just pretend like it's going to be all, the rainbows and the good stuff. Pluto is Pluto. So sometimes when it's taking things out of our life, it hurts. It can be painful because it is requiring the complexity of us changing our minds around structures and ideas that we had for a very long time, But the other thing that Pluto delivers that I think we really need to focus our eyeballs on is that it delivers something that is profound. It is powerful, it has value, and it elevates and empowers you into the next stage of your life with, yes, all of that. Yes, all of that. So let me know in the comment section down below as you hear that, where even here in 2022, if that's when you're listening, are you starting to get some sneak peeks of where this is going to be showing up for you, okay? All right, now as we get into April, we are going to experience our first eclipse happening. It's going to be a new moon solar eclipse, and this is actually going to be happening in your sign because the nodes are moving into Aries and Libra this year. But we're not quite done with the Scorpio Taurus axes yet, so we have to review that as well. Now, when we get to April 20th, and we've got this solar eclipse happening in your first house, so this is the house of you. Who you are, how you present yourself, the way that you dress yourself, the goals and ideas that you have for yourself. These are also really significantly important for you to take into mind at this particular time. And it's also, I think, an eclipse because this is a new moon solar eclipse where Aries, you get to plant your seeds of intention to begin something new, to begin to put yourself out there in a different way than I think you have before. But it also is a vast space here with Jupiter resonating in this energy as well to say genuinely, where is the wisdom that this new identity of mine has to expand out, has to share? Remember, that's the gift of Jupiter. Jupiter will make you cute as you can be. And it power packs you with wisdom, but it says you cannot actualize these gifts unless you expand, take it out into the world and share it with other people. So one of the symbols that I get here is Jupiter is also the great guru, right? Or that teacher, that guide, that leader, you know. So where are you at this new moon planting your seeds of intention to say, I'm ready to step up to my seat at the table and lead, or to teach, or to, you know, go back to school, right? Maybe you're willing to be taught at this time at a higher level of education or training. And eventually this will turn into the give back that you have to offer for all of the wisdom that has been bestowed to you. It's really a fantastic solar eclipse at 29 degrees of Aries. So this means it is pulling together the culmination of a ton of Aries lessons you have already learned, and saying, okay, now let's get out here, let's get on the road, you know, with this show, which I absolutely love. Okay, we get to May 5th, and now we're going to have a full moon lunar eclipse happening at 14 degrees of Scorpio. So this one is going to light up your 8th house, okay? Now, you've been dealing with this Taurus Scorpio axes all throughout 2022, so this is not necessarily new information. So we've still got, you know, there's still some endings that may be wrapping up for you here. Now, remember, the full moon says that we need to end something, we need to acknowledge something, or we need to make an adjustment of some variety. Okay, so in this, you know, in this 8th house, what we're looking at for you, Aries, is where do you need to detox your life? What still needs to go? What financial decisions or what joint partnerships are you working on? What things that have to do with sex, intimacy, vulnerability, healing? Aries, if there is some healing, this is the time to be doing it. But everything that this eclipse is about is this final kind of Passover in this area to make sure that you are getting the very best that healing has to offer, the very best that the depth of your desires to have in this life has to offer. So it's an absolutely profound and powerful moon, okay? All right, now let's fast forward a little bit. We've got Mercury retrograding all year. That's really not different, and we'll cover those in the weekly and the monthly reports. The only real difference I do want you to know is that Mercury will be retrograding in earth signs this year instead of air. So that's really a nice new kind of energy for us to explore. So it really means that around your resources and around things that are touchable, tangible, we're going to be doing a lot of mental review of those particular energies, okay? All right, so let's fast forward down here. When we get to May 17th, we are going to see Jupiter moving into the energy of Taurus. So now out of that first house, I told you Jupiter was going to be whipping through Aries, like just whoop, get out here, you know? So when we get to the 17th and Jupiter moves into Taurus and it's joining Uranus over there, and these energies are just woo, you know, it's like got so much going on. It's so much expansion. It's so much electricity that becomes available to you, but it lights up your second house space. So this is money, how you make money, your values around money. It's also going to be about what makes you feel secure financially. You know, I think of things that are very Tauran: your weight, your body, your eating. What do you value in this particular area? These are going to be big deals and big conversations for you to be thinking about at this particular time. But also, Jupiter tends to bring some fortune. So if in this area of your life around your money, you've been doing a little bit of learning about things financially, or you've been learning how to kind of keep an eye on the financial area of your life, I think that this can actually, because Jupiter will expand what it gets next to, right? So it can make it bigger. So it's like, okay, good. I've got a little bit more awareness here. If you wanted to take on particular financial opportunities, Jupiter can expand the availability for opportunities here. You know, in the second house, it's also how we use our creative talents and abilities to go out and make money. So certainly, you know, you've been training, you've been doing these things, and now there might be an availability for you to make money in that way. But Jupiter also just expands where it goes. So I would tell you, as a Taurus with a Capricorn South node, my beautiful Aries friends, I do not think that 2023 is the year to be reckless with finances. I don't think it's the year of just tons and tons of pleasure spending, unless you have the money to be able to make up for that, right? Because if it's just money out, money out, money out, money out, Jupiter will expand money out, money out, money out, right? And that can be a little bit tricky if you don't have that to offer. Now, Uranus is still just Uranus. You know, it's very, very electric. It's very disruptive. So one of the things that this Uranus transit, can produce is, yeah, like an unexpected windfall could absolutely come your way. I don't think that that is unrealistic at all. But I also think, because of the unpredictable nature of this particular planet, if you needed to really do something about the money area of your chart, if you really needed to get this money under control, or you really needed to reassess how you're making or spending money, Uranus will help you get out of the rut. It will help you find jobs. It can help you with anything that increases your knowledge of financial programs. It can help you find employment. It really can be a very useful energy. Okay, so I just want you to be thinking about that as we get to these particular energies. Okay, so let's travel forward just a few months. Now, first and foremost, we're going to get here into the August timeframe. So as we get into August, okay, so let's travel forward just a little bit into October, where we've got our next set of eclipses peeking their heads out. So we're going to have an eclipse that's going to be a new moon solar eclipse at 21 degrees of Libra. This is going to happen October 14th. Now, this is exciting because it is a solar eclipse. So this one is about another set of beginnings. And this one is in your 7th house, conscious, chosen, one-on-one relationships, commitments that we're taking on. And this is commitments in many different ways. I really want to key your attention to that, Aries. So this is, yes, the marriage. Yes, this is the business partnership. But the 7th house, we also welcome in relationships that are significant to us because they help us in some way. They help us go somewhere, you know? So is this a new teacher that comes into your life? Is this a new institution that comes into your life, and you make a connection here, or a collaboration that is just like, it's like priceless energy that starts here, but you choose to commit to it. You know, if there are commitments in your life coming undone, I do think that this eclipse can help that as well. You know, are you ending a marriage or a relationship that is not bringing value, is not bringing new possibilities to your life? Are you in a romance and you decide, this is it, we're doing it, we're moving in, we're committing, you know, whatever it is, this is an opportunity to either bring in new connections and collaborations and commitments, or to release you from ones that are not taking on new possibilities. Now, when we get to October 28th, we're going to have a full moon lunar eclipse at 5 degrees of Taurus, okay? So this particular eclipse is back here in this 2nd house, and we've got a lot going on in the 2nd house already. So it is a vibrant, vibrational space for you to be paying attention to around your money. And because this is a lunar eclipse, it's asking you to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment. And I think it's really important for you to understand that it is not just around your money. Yes, absolutely. I think that there are shifts in money to be exploring in your finances, but also, Aries, more than anything, I feel like at 5 degrees of Taurus, this has so much to do with your belief in your own self-worth, right? A genuine way that you value yourself, and a genuine way, Aries, that you allow yourself to be valued, right? Like, are you taking that job for a lower amount because you don't feel like you can have that or handle it, right? Or you don't deserve it? What is it that is being like, no, we have to just understand differently the value structure that we have available and going for us at this particular point. So I think that this is going to be an absolutely fantastic set of questions, especially with Uranus still transiting through the energy of Taurus, really, beefing up that second house, bringing our attention and getting us out of ruts around income, resources, and self-worth. So we have got quite the year on our hands, Aries, and I can't wait to walk through every week and every month with you as these eclipses start to work in the Aries and Libra axes. This is going to be a time where I'm telling you your individuality, your self-expression, your character, how you present your image in the world, and in that Libra house, how you make commitments and then how you stick to them, right? Because relationships really are about honoring the commitments so that we can work with the people within them. So all of these things are going to be called to your attention so that you can move towards your destiny. You're called at this particular time. It's about actually bringing you out into the world because it's time to be moving in a different way. And you may be wonderfully surprised at what you discover about your nature of this new identity you have and how that nature and that personality and that wonderful you can be of service in your community, in your homes, and ultimately to a world that is very much so changing out here. All right, my beautiful Aries, I hope you have a gorgeous 2023. Check in, check back with me often, and I look forward to all we will uncover as the year goes on. Bye, my beautiful Aries.